Hi everybody, this is Crystal. Today I'm going to show you how to make this nice oversized hood here. It's pretty simple. This is mainly single crochet and it's sewed together here at the back, and then it's got some ribbing. I don't know if you'll be able to tell it really with the yarn I chose, and then it's got long ties with some large pom-poms at the end, which they hang really low, or you can also kind of wrap them around and like around your neck and let them hang a little bit shorter in the front. You can make this smaller if you don't want it to be oversized by doing less rows of single crochet than I did. So that's up to you. You can kind of adjust the size. But let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, I want to take a minute to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and that way you never miss an update every time I put on a new tutorial. And also, after the video is over, if you want to head on over to bagodaycrochet.com, and there you will find the free written pattern for this hood. And special thanks to my friends at Red Heart for providing today's yarn for me. Today I am using a Red Heart collage yarn. It is a jumbo giant yarn number 7. So it's bigger than super bulky. It's the biggest yarn. And it's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. It's really nice and soft. It's actually really pretty. The color I chose is called Stained Glass. And there are 55 yards per skein, and it took me 4 skeins to do the oversized hood, including the ties and the pom-poms, which you could always leave them off if you wanted to. But I will put a link below to where you can get this yarn. And don't forget to check out redheart.com, where they got thousands of free crochet and knitting patterns for you to enjoy. And then I'm also using a size Q, which is a 15.75 millimeter crochet hook. And then you want to start off, it's really simple. The beginning is just single crochet. You want to start off with a chain of 40. Now I'm not going to do a big chain because I've already got my big piece done. But you want to start off with a chain of 40. And then we just do 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook once you get your chain of 40 made. And then we do 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of your chain. I apologize if the yarn is a little dark. I just couldn't pass it up. I thought it was so pretty. So you just continue with 1 single crochet until you get to the end of the row. When you make it to the end of the row, you should have a total of 39 stitches now. Remember, I did mine a little smaller, but you'll have 39. So what you want to do is chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet into the very first stitch there. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. We go right into the very first one and put our single crochet. And now we just continue across, again, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. Okay, when you make it to the end of the row, you still should have 39 stitches. So now it's just a repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn, single crochet into the very first stitch, and single crochet in every stitch to the end of the row. So that's all it is. It's just rows of single crochet for a while. Now I did mine. You want to do 16 rows of single crochet with 39 stitches at the end of each row. If you don't like the size of my hood and you want your hood to be not so large, you can do a few less rows than 16. Like maybe you want to do 12 or 13, maybe 14. You just look at it, and if you think it hangs too far over your face more than what you'd like, then you just do less rows than 16. But right now, if you want to do it oversized like me, or the hood hangs over your face. 16 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and I'll meet you there when I get my 16 rows done. 39 stitches at the end of each row. Okay, once you get your 16 rows done, now what we're going to do is we're going to increase on the ends to kind of make it come out a little bit. So I just did my 16th row, so now I'm on row number 17, so I'm just going to chain 1 and turn my work. Now what I'm going to do is put 2 single crochets into that very first stitch. 2. Like that. And now I'm just going to work my way across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch, just like we did. Until I get to my last stitch. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 17, and on your last stitch you want to put 2 single crochets into the last stitch. So you put 2 in the first and then you put 2 in the last, and now you should have a total of 41 stitches now at the end of row 17. So for row 18 we're just going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to repeat row 17. So we're going to put 2 single crochets into the very first stitch, like that, and then I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row, just like we did on row 17. And when we get to the end, the last stitch will also have 2 single crochets in it. So I'm going to continue putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the end here. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 18, and I just want to put 2 single crochets into my last stitch. And now we should have a total of 43 stitches now. Now for row 19, we're going to start working double crochets. Because we're going to start forming the ribbing on the hood. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work. Row 19. What we're going to do, I'm going to fix my camera, I'm sorry, is in the very first stitch we're going to put 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So there's 1 and 2, and now we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch across until we get to the end of the row. So we're repeating the last 2 rows, except for we're doing it with double crochet instead of single. So it's going to be 1 double all the way across, and then when we get to the last stitch it'll have 2 doubles in it. So I'm going to continue putting my 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row. Okay, when you make it to the end of row 19, you want to go ahead and put your 2 double crochets into the last stitch there, and you should have 45 stitches now. Okay, row 20. We are going to start the ribbing. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, we're going to start off by putting 2 just regular double crochets into the very first stitch. There's 1 and 2. Now the next stitch we're going to do a front post double crochet. So all that is, it's just a double crochet, but instead of working into the top of the stitch, we work it around the post of the stitch. Make sure you're getting the right stitch here. It's kind of right next to the first one. So this one right here, just yarn over and go right around the post of it like that, and then you just work your double crochet just like that. And now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the top of the next stitch, just a regular double crochet right in the top. And then the next stitch is going to be a front post double crochet again. So we're just going to work around the post of the next stitch, just yarn over and go right around the post where the post is on the front of your hook, and then do your double crochet. And then the next one is just going to be a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. And then the next one will be the front post double again. So we yarn over, go right around a post of the next stitch, and then we do our double crochet. Regular double crochet into the next, right into the top of it, and then front post double into the next. So we're just going to repeat that pattern of front post double crochet, and then regular double crochet, and front post, and then regular. And if you look, you can see that it's making the ribbing. You'll be able to tell once we get one more row on it after this, but just continue that. The next one will be a regular double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, then a regular, and then a front post, all the way into the end, to the end of the row. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 20, and I have one stitch left, and this stitch was a front post double crochet. So in this last stitch, I'm just going to put 2 regular double crochets into it. So there's 1 and 2, and you should have 47 stitches now. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn for row, sorry my camera keeps moving, 21. Okay, now we're going to be working back post double crochet. Since we're working on the back of the work, we need to make the posts line up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the very first stitch this time, just 1, like that. And then we'll put 1 double crochet into the top of the next stitch. Now the next stitch we're going to do a back post double crochet around, because you can, if you flip it over, you can see that we did a front post around it last time. So what we're going to do is the same, we just yarn over, but we go around it from the behind like that, so the post is on the front or on the back of our hook instead of on the front, and then we just do our regular double crochet like that, and then just do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and then the next stitch will be a back post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and go around, take your hook around from the back and go around the post of the next stitch like that. And if you flip your work over, you'll see that the post is on the back of your hook, and then you just do your double crochet. That. And then we do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. And then back post double crochet around the next. So we yarn over, take your hook, go around it, run the behind, around the post like that. So you can see that the post is on the back of your hook, and then do your double crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat this round. And if you flip it over, you can see by doing back posts that you're keeping the posts lined up in the front of your work. So again, I will do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and then a back post double crochet. Oops. Yeah, regular double crochet into the top of the next, and then a back post double crochet around the post of the next. So yarn over, go right around the post from the behind like that, and back post. Regular double crochet into the top of the next, and then back post double crochet around the next. And I'm just going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row. Regular double crochet, and then a back post double crochet. Regular double and back post. Just make sure when you flip it over you're keeping your posts lined up. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 21, and I did a back post double crochet, and I have 2 stitches left. I just want to put 1 double crochet in each of those. Remember, we did not do any we did not put 2 double crochets at the beginning, so we're not at the very first stitch, so we won't put 2 double crochets in this last. We'll just put 1 into this last one. So there was a front or back post double crochet here, 1 double crochet in this stitch, and 1 double crochet into the last stitch. And now you still should have 47 stitches. So now what I'm going to do is clip this yarn off like that. Now I'm going to take it, flip it like this to where the good side is facing you. The ribbing is facing you like this. And I'm going to sew the back up. Now I'm going to sew it together using a really big yarn needle and a piece of this yarn. Now if you don't have a yarn needle this big, you can slip stitch it together if that would be easier for you. But I happen to have a big one. So I'm just going to start at the bottom here. And remember, I got the right side of my work facing me. And I'm just going to neatly sew it together. So I'm going to grab a stitch at the bottom and the same stitch at the bottom on the other piece and go through. Leave a tail there so we can sew them in later. And what I'm doing, I'm not going to go over, I'm going to go back and forth. So I'm on this side, so I'm going to go back over here on this one, and then I'll through the next stitch on this piece and sew it, and then this piece, and then the next stitch on this piece, sew it together. And I'm going to do this all the way up until my piece is sewed up. Remember, if you don't have this big old needle, or you can't get your yarn through whatever size darning needle you have, or yarn needle, you can just slip stitch it together. Use the same thing. So I'm going to continue sewing up my hood here in the back. Remember, back and forth, not over. Like that. Then you'll have a nice clean seam in the back when you open it up. Okay, I made it all the way to the top, sewing my back piece together. And now I'm just going to sew it a couple more times just to hide my tail. Now if you, like I said, if you don't have this big needle, you can hide your tail by using a smaller crochet hook like this, and just kind of weaving it back and forth like this. And that's just as easy. You probably could have sewed it together that way too, because it's such big yarn. But just go down it and hide your tail this way. Oh, it's splitting. Try that again. You get the idea. Oh, I keep hitting my light up there. And then what you want to do is you want to go and hide any remaining tails that you have. And then what we'll do is we'll edge it all. So I'm going to go ahead and finish hiding all my tails real quick. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge it, and I'm also going to put some strings on it so I can hook pom-poms onto it. So what you want to do is you want to start off with a chain of 25. Don't put it on don't hook it on here yet. What we're going to do is work the chain of 25 with single crochet. So we're going to start in the single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, but I'll show you a little trick. If you flip it over and you see there's one loop in the back. It's probably hard to see with this dark yarn, and if it is, I'm sorry. The second stitch. Just go through that one loop, and what it'll do is make a nice clean edge on your chain here. Single crochet in the second stitch. If you can't find that one loop, don't worry about it. Just go do it regular. But like I said, we're going to single crochet in every stitch. So if you flip it over, you see there's a bump right here, one loop on the back of each stitch. If you pull it up and see it, go through that one loop, and it just makes your chain cleaner. It's not necessary to do it that way, but the next one right here, here's my chain. If I flip it over, I'll see that one loop, little bump right here. I kind of just pull it up a bit so I can see it and get my hook through it and single crochet through it. Now I'm going to do this all the way up my chain. One single crochet in every stitch, but I'm just going to do that one little loop in the back of my chain. And it takes a little bit more time, but if you look at it, it looks a lot neater. There's no gaps there in between your chain spaces. So I'm going to work one single crochet up this chain real quick till I get to the top, working in that one little loop in the back. Like that. Okay, once you've made it all the way to the top of your chain, now we're going to attach it. So I got the front of my work facing me. Here's where the ribbing starts. The back of my work is right here. I'm going to attach it to this first double crochet here. What I'm going to do is a single crochet it right on. So I'm just going to go right through and single crochet that chain right on, just like that. And now I'm going to put one single crochet in every stitch across the front of my hood. Just like this, until I get to the other side. So one single crochet all the way across the front until I get over here to the end of the ribbing, to the end of the first row here. Okay, I did my one single crochet across the front of the hood, and I want to put a single crochet in my last double crochet here, and now I'm going to make the other tie. So what I'm going to do is chain 25. And what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did with the other tie. I'm going to, in the second stitch from the hook, I'm going to flip my work over and put my one single crochet in that back, and that one loop that's on the back of the second stitch. Put my first single crochet in it, just like that. And I'm going to work one single crochet just like we did up the stitch of this, up in every stitch up this chain, but I'm just doing it on this one little bump, one little loop in the back. So here's the front of my chain. If you flip it, you can see this little bump. It's the one loop. Just kind of pull it up and go into that. That way your chain is nice and clean. But like I said earlier on the other one, if you can't get that, you can just do it regular. One single crochet in every stitch up the chain. So I'm going to continue doing this until I get to the top of this chain. Okay, I made it to the top of my chain, my second tie. Now what you want to do is end it by slip stitching into this first single crochet here that was on the front edge. So it's a slip stitch right there. Now what we're going to do, we're not going to tie off. We're going to continue working around the piece, cleaning up all these edges by working one single crochet in every stitch. So I slip stitched there. I'm going to jump to the next stitch and single crochet. Now you're just going to kind of have to, you're going to be working down the side of the work, and it's kind of hard to tell where to put the stitches. Just kind of evenly space out the single crochets to get the edges all nice and clean. Well, that's what I'm going to do anyways, do my best to space them out. I'm going to do this all the way around, or all the way down this side of the hood, and then the back of the hood, and then up the other side of the hood to where we started. And that's going to make the edges nice and clean. And you can already see how it's cleaning them up nicely, the edges. There we go. So just continue evenly spacing one single crochet all the way up the side, around the back. Here's the seam. Just go across the seam, evenly spacing single crochets all the way back around until you get back over here to where we attached our other tie. Okay, once you made it all the way around your piece with single crochet and you're back to the beginning, this is the first tie, what you want to do is end by slip stitching into the same stitch that we attached our first tie into. So go ahead and slip stitch into that, and then we can pull that up and clip it off. Now what we want to do is hide any remaining tails we have. So I'll probably just use my hook and pull the tail of this tie through, and I'll weave it in the best that I can. And then I'll do the same with this other tail. Make sure you weave it in pretty good so it doesn't come undone. And if you have your big needle, you can use that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and weave these tails in real quick. Okay, what I did is I made a couple extra large pom-poms with my pom-pom maker. Now if you don't have a pom-pom maker, there's lots of tutorials on YouTube to show you how to make a pom-pom if you don't know how. I recommend the Nervous Knitter Crochet channel. She has a great pom-pom tutorial. If you don't want to put pom-poms, you can leave it the way it is, or you could put tassels or whatever you want to do. But if you decide to use pom-poms, to sew them on, or to put them on, I'm going to use my long ends that I left, my big yarn needle, and I'm just going to sew it to the end, just like this. Now I'm only going to do it a couple times because when I put pom-poms on, I always put a dab of hot glue on them too. That way I know they're not going to come off. Not where anybody could see it, but I just sew them on a couple times with the pom-pom ends, or the pom-pom tails like these that you leave. Do it to the other one too. It's hard to see, I guess, with this yarn, but I just sew it on the end here of my tie. And now what I'll do is I'll just I gotta get my hot glue gun out, but I'll get my hot glue And I will just put a dab right here and hold the pom-pom there for a minute. And maybe a little dab on the other side or right underneath the tie. And hold my pom-pom there till it dries. And you won't be able to see the glue and the pom-pom won't come off. So I'm going to sew this on a couple more times and then I'm going to put some glue on the end of my pom-poms. Okay, once you get your pom-poms on, that's it. It's a nice oversized hood, and the pom-poms make these tassels or these ties hang nice and low, so I think it looks really nice. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook too. I'll put a link to that below. And don't forget to head on over to bagodaycrochet.com where you'll find the free written pattern for this. And until next time, have a good day.